This is Click Clack Moo Cow That Type by Doreen Colin. Click Clack Moo Cow That Type is about the story that happens in the farm. One day, Farmer Browse has a problem. His cows like to type. All day long he hears click clack moo, click clack moo, clickety clack moo. But Farmer Browse's problem really begins when his cows start leaving him notes that is about cows' demand and erected blanket. They also know that hens are cold too. If the Farmer Brown doesn't bring the erected blankets, no milk and no eggs. The Farmer Brown was furious because he doesn't know how can he run his farm with no milk and no eggs. So he required his animals to do their own duty. He asked the dog, which is neutral party, to send that note. The cow have an emergency meeting. Other animals want to snoo, but they can't understand moo. Finally, the cows want to exchange that typewriter for erected blankets. Next day, the ducks send the farmer a note about their demand too. He gives them everything they want and the farm back to normal again. This book was a joyful story for children, and it might be the best one of them. But it's not. In my opinion, this book is problematic children's literature. One is vocabularies. It is for children ages 2 years, but there are some words that are too difficult for them, such as impatient, emergency, or ultimatum. Another one is an unsuitable book for children. It intervenes a content that tends to be radical content. The main point in this video is the radical, which consists of capitalism, labor, slave master, and gender.
First of all, the story tries to make readers aware of capitalism. This book seeks to demonstrate the rise of trade unions' claim and the destruction of capitalism between capitalists and working class. Capitalism creates a social hierarchy, a society in which money influences anything, and people are seeking benefits from profits with the use of labor as the drive to succeed. According to the story, the author uses animal characters to give a clear picture between laborers and entrepreneurs. As we can see, the author chose to use animals on the cover of the book instead of the farmer. It shows the importance of the role of the animal as a laborer in the story rather than the role of the farmer. The protest of cows, chickens, and ducks are clearly destroying capitalism. The labor had the right to demand benefits in exchange for the profit of the entrepreneur. In the past, labor was oppressed and they have no right to ask or request what should be received from the employer, except the small compensation from the entrepreneur. All profits fall into the hands of employers, but workers are treated uncomfortably. Moreover, the capitalist is a class that is knowledgeable about doing business and has equipment that is used for convenience. So, the other puts the role of labor animals to rise up against upper class by trying to access technology and imitate human behavior known as personification in order to have the right to negotiate their own benefits. This work teaches children to see aware of the power of claim and resistance, inequality between working class and capitalists. Therefore, if the capitalists only think of their own benefits, they are not worthy to receive compensation and benefits from their working class.
For the next topic, one of the important elements of this story is about labor. The cow and chickens are animals in Farmer Brown's farm. They produce for the farmer and remain compliant until the cows acquire the typewriter. They use it to negotiate for electric blankets because the barn is too cold. After a few bargains, the cows and chickens told Farmer Brown that they would exchange the typewriter with electric blankets. This story shows us about the unfairness in the workplace, that employers take advantage of workers and how the workers strike their employer. The animals in the farm represent workers under the authority of Farmer Brown, which is their employer. Workers were forced to work over day and night under the bad conditions because they had no power to bargain with their employer, and the employer didn't even care about them. The employer treated them all free. The typewriter represents the power of the workers to speak, to ask for their right, to ask for fairness. The cows and chickens can't do anything until they get the typewriter, which represents the access to the life of the workers. When the workers got the power to speak, they used it for what they needed, but it's still not enough. They had to ask someone else to team up, which in this story is chickens. At the end of the story, the animals got what they want, but they weren't the winner. They got what they want, but they lost their power to speak, and the real winner belongs to the farmer wow or the employer.
The next issue is theory about slave morality that related to this work from consulting the characters and story structure. There clearly is a concept of master and slave. The character that kind of master is Farmer Brown, and the character that kind of slave is animal, such as cows, hens, and ducks. The theory showed that slave was ruled by master, so animals were ruled by Farmer Brown. In the story, cows and hens need electric blanket, but Brown rejected it. So, they protest by type, no milk, no eggs. That related to protest against capitalism because it has differences between their classes. When the master is afraid of losing the benefits and the status, that the slave should be under the master's authority and should not have the right to negotiate. The master will use the slave morality to give the slave what it wants, which will make the slave feel itself was not only oppressed and felt that the master had altruism in order to keep the slave under the power of the master. It related to Nietzsche's paper that he believed that slave is to be slave. Slave is not being master, and the master that can't lose something may be undermined as a master.
For the last topic, gender. One important element of the story is that the cows and chickens are female workers under the authority of the male, Farmer Brown. These female workers produce for the farmer and remain compliant until the cows acquire the typewriter. The cows use typewriter to send messages for asking what they need. Focusing on letters in the note, cows and chickens' letters are more like children writing than farmers' letters, which are cleaner. For most of the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries, it was not regarded as appropriate for women to write scholarly or worldly books. However, women were immediately accepted as writers for children. Indeed, referring to Great Britain, Peter Hunt from 1994 observed that women have dominated as children's books from the beginning. There are a number of explanations for this. For instance, women were regarded as the children's nature caregivers. Women were thought to have intellects not much more developed than the children's, and therefore to be able to communicate at their level. And writing for children was a low-status occupation and therefore relegated to women. The childish letters in Animals Note represents the cows and chickens have intelligences as the children do. Meanwhile, the farmer has higher intellect from his cleaner letters. For us, after cows and chickens return a typewriter, the only two which they use well. Their status is getting back to be lower again. Cows and chickens cannot ask or strike for anything anymore.
In conclusion, this literature is intertwined by some of radical children literature topics, such as capitalism, which is about protest against labors that work in a farm, slave and master, which is class from a consequence of capitalism, and the last one, gender, which is an important topic in society and is represented through the gender-divided character. This occurs the symbols interpreting. We analyzed and interpreted this story from the characters, story structure, and related research. Thank you.
Click, clack, moo. Cows that type.